I love my sewing machine. To me, it is the most creative tool that you could possibly come up with, and I am forever in debt to the person that invented that sewing machine. You could take away my dishwasher, well, maybe not the dishwasher, take away my washing machine, take away my stove, my microwave even, but leave me my sewing machine, because that, to me, is the one that I have so much fun with, and I can create so many things. But sadly, there are people, and they may be watching right now, that are afraid of a sewing machine. It's nothing to be afraid of. It just gives you hours and hours of wonderful fun. And here to help me with, well, I actually have to convince Pam, because Pam has not been a sewer.
I've tried, but I haven't had a beautiful machine like that one either. That makes all the difference.
So maybe you look to the mother-in-law to get you going.
Well, and you do make me a lot of things, which helps me cut some corners. But what have we got here?
Well, I thought this is something that you might like, because you can see it's all one piece. And I think so often people like you start off with something too complicated. If we start with something simple, doggone, it goes together.
Yeah, that sounds
really good. Do you want to see what it looks like?
Let's show me what it looks like.
Okay, here we go.
What a beautiful poncho.
Yeah, poncho time.
No memories of Ugly Betty here. You're going to keep me looking good.
And the joy, it feels good. Look at the inside of this. It's as cuddly on the outside. It's just a beautiful nap.
My girls would love to snuggle
with me. They would snuggle you in this one. And, of course, we put the Swarovski zipper in here, so the crystals. And there you go. So just a little bit of clasp, a little bit of color, a little bit of fringe. You're all set.
Very nice.
Yeah, one size fits all, and it's just kind of fun. So it's fast and
very
cuddly.
Cozy. I'm looking forward to making this one.
Thank you. Then this one. And even though this looks complicated, it really is not complicated.
This looks beautiful. I love the long line.
Yes.
Always flattering.
That's so important, I think, just to sort of cover. And so there it is in the front. And if you look at the back, and it's sort of asymmetric, which is just really fun.
And this metallic look is very in right now.
Yes, it is.
Very popular.
You might want to see what this actually is, Pam, because I think you'll be delighted. And we'll just have you move out of the way. There we go.
Where's the sewing? Where's the sewing? So far, so good.
So this is good. You think you can do this?
I can cut. I know that.
Yeah. In fact, we didn't even finish this one. We should really finish this. I got so excited when I got at this stage, I thought, well, we'll just put this on. And around these armholes, you would actually turn that edge and top stitch it. But there's just a little shoulder there, and then there's this band all the way down.
That's great. And, I didn't even notice that when it was on there. So.
I mean, that's how quick and easy that can be.
Better done than perfect.
Okay, so let's show you another one of these.
And that's very elegant as well.
Yeah. The whole trick of this, you want to do something that's kind of drapey and soft and almost see-through, which is kind of good.
It's flowy, no clinging.
Yeah, no, and you can make them in different colors.
Beautiful. And is the scarf a separate piece, or is that built into it?
Well, actually, that was just a scrap that was left over. We had this little piece left over. I said, well, that looks like a scarf. You could put some fringe on it or something if you wanted, but it was just a chunk that was left over.
Very clever. And how long would this take me to make?
Well, I mean, this is this with a sleeve. So it's the same thing as this, with those two holes, and you put the sleeve. So I would suppose maybe an hour and a half. This would take maybe an hour.
It would take me longer to go and find one and buy it.
Oh, that is so true. That's what this whole sewing thing is. If you went to look for that, you may never find it. I mean, you'd spend days.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you sit down and just make one. So if you can dream it, you can make it, Pam. But there is, I want to keep things simple because, like I say, don't start with something too complicated.
Every time I start making something, it ends up with polka dots on it because I just don't know what else to do. So
polka dots are good.
Well, they can be good, but not when I do them. But I love the bedazzling. I love the glitter and shine. So show me how we get there.
So we're going to cut out this shape. And this shape could be longer or shorter depending on how long you want. I mean, that's the joy, again, of making. You can make it to fit you and to the style that you want. So we're going to have to cut out the neckline.
So is there, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but is there a pattern or some instructions? I don't have to keep phoning you saying, okay, now what do I do?
Okay, yes, there is. In fact, there's a kit. And if our viewers go to the end of the program, they'll see all the information about our website and all that kind of thing. So they can go actually for all the projects that we do on all the shows.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to cut out the neckline, and we're going to slash it down like that. So what you would do as well is you would slash it into a corner. And it's only about a half an inch there and about half an inch there. Because we want to then turn this back, and turn that back.
Okay.
Did you get what we're doing? We're going to put that zipper in there.
Nice zipper's coming.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So you could actually turn that back, top stitch that, or sew it from this side, right along there.
Oh, I see.
And so sew that down along there.
There really isn't an obvious top and bottom.
No, there's no right or wrong.
It can be.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So sew that. You will actually sew the zipper in. So, or you could do it with no zipper. If you really choke and say, I don't think we can do this zipper.
Okay.
You know, it really
I'm in a hurry, and I just want it now.
Yeah. Just turn that edge and top stitch
Okay.
it. Or not top stitch it. It doesn't fray.
That looks great.
So there is the zipper. Then we have a collar.
Okay.
And I think, see, you recognize
Yes,
that as
like
a collar right away.
Collar,
Yeah.
absolutely.
There's
the sewing.
Well, we just ran out of fabric. I was a little bit chintzy. Sometimes when you sew a lot, you think, I don't want to waste a big piece. I'm just going to.
Right.
So you're going to sew
So did you pull that from these corners?
Yeah. And then that's going to go into there. And then you just need to put fringe on it, Pam. And this fringe is just cut. So you're going to take a long piece.
I tried to make fringe and end up with uneven, crooked pieces. What's the secret
trick here is you make a line of sewing so that you've got a guideline, and then you cut up to that line, and then they all come out even, and you think, hey, this looks good.
That is fantastic.
It's going to make kind of a mess because this stuff kind of fluffs around. So and when I put the fringe on, I start somewhere in the middle. Like, don't start at an end.
Does it matter which side?
Doesn't matter. Well, you mean the front or under?
Yeah, front or back, yeah.
Probably I'd stick it under. That might make it a little bit neater, and then I would just zigzag along that edge or top stitch. It doesn't much matter, and just keep going, and then add another piece because there's really no way that you have to join that up. So that works.
Wow, I can do it.
You can, and you can too, but don't go away because we got lots more good stuff coming up.
Guests of our show stay at Travel Lodge. Nice rooms, great people. Models provided by Chan International. #1 in personal development training, modeling, and acting.
Creative Festival, and speaking of creative people, I mean, that's why I come to this, because I meet so many interesting people and find out so many interesting things to do. And I have really hit the jackpot this time because I've come upon a woman who knits with fur. Welcome to the show, Paula.
Thank you.
Fascinating to meet you. And you've been in business for a long time. You've been doing this.
Yes, I've been doing this for 28 years officially, and of course a couple of years ahead of that to develop it, and but
you're world renowned. I mean, your name is out there. You have made these garments and sold them to the.
Yes, we were the originator of working with fur in a new way, which is basically taking a pelt, cutting it into yarn, making a yarn of it, and then with that yarn, of course, you can knit it, weave it, crochet it, macrame it, and make a fabric that has fur on both sides. So. It's, it's we call it the ultimate natural fiber.
Yeah, so tell me then, how does the fur, how did you get into this to begin with?
Well, nothing ever fit me. I'm 6'3". I was raised in Labrador and Goose Bay, where people wear fur for survival, too. So I had that in the back of my mind. I distinctly remember in Don Mills walking to school seeing a lady for the first time with a fur coat with the fur on the outside. And I said to my brother, look at that lady, she's got a coat on inside out.
What a concept.
That's weird. Anyway, I grew very tall. I'm 6'3". I actually opened the CN Tower in Toronto. Miss CN Tower. I was the tallest freestanding female.
Okay.
And, I did a lot of sewing, and then I discovered leather. And leather is great because you only have to sew it once. It doesn't fray.
It doesn't fray.
It's the ultimate fabric.
Yes.
So I started doing leather work, and, my husband was a motorcycle racer, so he did competition. I did competition leathers for different guys, and I made knickers for myself, and then I had kids and made kids' clothes, but you always have scrap because of the shape of the hide.
Yes.
So what I started doing, I had 3 deerskins, and I desperately wanted to make a dress out of it, and it just wouldn't go there, so with a pattern. So I cut away the parts that kind of didn't fit in the draping, took that weird shape and cut it around and around, made a thread out of it. And of course, once you've made a thread out of scrap leather, you can make it any shape you want.
You could crochet
it. In fact,
have you got
a pair of leather gloves right here right now that actually don't look like anything fantastic, but don't
But
they
the fact
feel
that they're
neat?
leather, and you've cut this really, really fine.
Yep, I cut this on my last trip to Argentina to visit my daughter.
This is a good thing to do when there's nothing to do.
That's right. You can't do it on a plane,
And you're knitting
you can knit on a plane, but you can't cut in a plane. They won't let you have scissors.
Of course not. And you knit it, I see that you've got
I've got a little thread with it, a reinforcing thread,
stability.
just to make sure that if it breaks, the thread holds so that you don't get a run.
Okay. Well,
but this is what started this fur. I thought, if I can knit with leather, why couldn't I knit with fur?
So it must be an awful mess when you cut fur. I mean,
well, you have to cut it from the back of the leather with a razor blade, and you just go around and around. This is actually our company logo, Paula Lishman. So the first show I did was in 1977 in Germany, and I wanted something that represented Canada. So my husband and I sat down and we came out with this concept of, you know, some kind of an aquatic animal. Beaver is the fur that we mostly work with now. And we did the, you know, native concept of what's happening on the inside. So these are cut lines, and if you pull that and you pull it out, you get a long, narrow strip of fur, which is fur yarn.
Okay.
And we take that.
What kind of an animal is this?
This is beaver.
Okay, so what's all this business about people that don't want to use fur and all this?
Well,
what is your comment
we have a lot of beaver, and when I show people raccoon yarn and squirrel yarn, they go, oh, thank you, thank you. No, I mean, the fact of the matter is that animals do not die of old age in the wild. Beaver is very plentiful. It's very abundant in this country. They die from disease, starvation, or predator, and as a predator, you know, a man is the most humane death that a wild animal can undergo. And then we also work with fox, which is a ranched fur. You know, Brundtland Commission, sustainable use of renewable resources, and boy, beaver and muskrat are very plentiful.
Yeah, I like. So when you deal with this, then you get it. It's very, very fine.
Yes.
Do you cut it, or you have people?
It's cut by hand. My company is set up as a cottage industry. I mean, primarily we're a fashion company. I just had so many people over the years ask me for fur yarn, and can I make myself something? And I really want to trim my gloves. So, you know, a few years ago we decided, yes, to share it. And so this product is a really, not, you know, a byproduct of what we're doing commercially. A person, so just a minute, is it practical? I mean, practical.
All sewers want to know that.
One size fits all. I mean, this shawl, I made a little hat. That's what started me in this. I saw this rabbit skin, and I cut it with an X-Acto knife, and I knit it in a tube, because I was working on a sweater at the time that was, you know, the Norwegian style with the tubes, no seams. And I made this little tube, and I put a drawstring in one end, and it made the cutest little hat. And you can open it up more around your neck, and you can flip it up more like a hood, you can roll it, and it's fur on both sides, and one size fits everybody. You know, I made one for my husband, the kids. Like, they're very versatile.
So from that, I mean, you
and then I made it bigger, and this is a little crocheted shawl now, which is something that we sell, but we also offer kits for.
You mentioned
you can wear it like a hood and a scarf. It's so flexible. You know, it can be an accessory. You can wear it over your coat, under your coat. It has a drawstring in the neck. You can. It's just amazing. You know, it totally changes shape. It's like the silly putty of fur. You know, and this is fur. It's washable.
Washable? I mean,
the sound of that. You know, can you beat that? And it makes you feel amazing. It feels so good because there is nothing really better than the touch.
So you can buy the yarn, you've done patterns.
You can buy the yarn, we've got kits, headbands, hats, scarves, mittens, jackets.
I'm hooked.
It's great stuff.
Thank you. Great to meet you. Thank you.
Pleasure.
A magnificent quilt, and yes, if you look and see the whole thing, you'll see that it is a map of Canada. It's an amazing piece, and I'm joined by an amazing person who I've known for a number of years, Wanda Cracknell. It's great to have you here.
Thank you very much, Linda.
So one of the times or when we met, actually, you were into pottery.
Yes, I was into pottery from the 60s right up until the mid-90s when my hands started to get older, and so I changed to the fiber arts.
And I think that's wonderful because so many of us are not really pure. We can dabble in a lot of different things, and I think that's what makes it fun. And you've used some of the things. In fact, you even made a parka with me long ago. And
yes, I did.
I used some of the fur and some of your new things, and I mean, that's what it's all about, is just having fun.
Exactly.
So what possessed you to do this?
This was a 2000 challenge from the St. Albert Guild to make a piece with 2,000
exactly
pieces.
2,000
exactly inside the binding.
That? Oh, yes.
And I chose to use the map of Canada to celebrate the fact that I have chosen Canada as my home, and I'm very proud to call myself Canadian.
So where is it that you live? Let's see where you live.
Here we are. This
Okay,
is this sunflower is Edmonton, Alberta, at the edge of the prairie.
Yes.
And using this color wash technique, we try to blend fabric squares. There are 2-inch squares, and many different ones are used. Ones you might not imagine, such as animals, zebras, cats, and dogs are all mixed in here, as are fish here and shells, just to create the outline of
the water
the maps
and
and
the
animals
mountains
and this island here in the neck of the St. Lawrence River.
Yeah, and I like your belt down here with all the flowers and the fruit and all that.
Yes,
and
this is in Ontario.
yeah. That takes a lot of... So how long does it take to do this?
Well, if I was sensible, it would have taken many months, but I left it to the very last minute and had to complete it in 14 days prior to the deadline.
Okay,
for
you
the
are a
submission.
woman after my own heart. There's nothing like a deadline to get things going. So you haven't... Yeah, you've gone really nuts with this whole quilting, the art form of quilting, which I think is exquisite. It's just exciting.
Yes, I started with more traditional things like sewing squares together, and I still enjoy that, but I like to then go to a second layer on my work to add a lot of surface treatment.
Okay, so this one would be a great example of that. Then.
Yes.
You said this was a challenge. Did you say that there was how do we know?
Just these fabrics were to be used. This gray, the pink,
ugly.
and the yellow.
Do they do that on purpose? Just give you ugly ones so that
I'm not sure, but I actually trimmed out all of the yellows and placed that onto black.
Okay.
And I added some velvet for different textures, many different nets and laces.
So you were allowed to add a bunch of stuff.
We were allowed to add several fabrics. I also added this very large print so that I could make silk flowers and bead this wonderful butterfly.
I think a lot of your techniques, too, you've added tulle on top, and that's a good way to kind of camouflage. And
yes,
make
it
things
softens
kind of,
images.
Sure.
As you can see, this flower is quite bright, and this one is very muted.
All right, and you love embellishment now.
I love buttons, and I love beads.
Yes, so I think they work so well in that. This is one of your newer pieces.
Yes,
Again,
another challenge from the Guild. It was to do something in blue, and blue is actually my least favorite color. And so I did some research and got on the web and found out about a plant called woad, which was used in the Middle Ages to dye things blue, and it's one of the indigo family. And they are starting to redo that. This is lapis lazuli. I had to fill in something with semi-precious stones.
It gives you such texture.
Yes, and I call it the Woden Warrior.
Speaking of stones, this is the one that I saw in a gallery, and I said, who did this? And I'm just amazed at this. It's a seashore. It's a...
Yes, exactly. It is a representation of 12 inches square on the beach at Fort Bragg in Northern California, and it's called Glass Beach. There was a dump there many, many years ago, and all of that has been reclaimed and changed by the sea. And
so did you grab a handful of stuff when you were there then?
Oh, yes.
Okay. All right.
And it's not a state park,
no,
so I was allowed.
Okay,
and there's, as you can see, I've not glued anything down. The neck of this bottle was beaded on. This pottery shard, was applied just by wrapping it in bridal tulle.
I see there's a little tulle. You really have to look closely to see it, but yes.
Yes.
What a great way to attach bigger pieces that, of course, have no holes in them. So
strange things like a ceramic piece from an old spark plug in a car, and this is compressed aluminum from a can. This is what the sea does to
well, this was not done in 14 days. I can
no,
tell. Yes, but this is
a lot of French knots and embroidery, as well as applying the treasures that I found.
All right.
And I call it treasures at my feet.
Oh, it is. It is. So this is magnificent. I mean, this is just unbelievable. So what possessed you to do this?
Well, our guild was having a show, and I like to make a major piece for a show. And I was at the library just browsing through the fiber arts book, and I opened a cross-stitch book it's a Cooler Design Studio book, and this was designed by Linda Gillum.
And I would think that cross-stitch and quilting do have a lot of similarities because you're dealing with little squares.
You could put a little square every time you would sew a little cross-stitch.
Yeah.
But I chose to do it in strips, which made it a little bit more tricky. Sometimes there's just one strip, like at the top, but through the middle I may have had to join 30 little rectangles to get the variation to create the image
So how
of
do you
the wolf.
lay that out then, or how do you sort of figure that out?
I just count and measure
Like cross-stitch.
constantly.
Yeah.
Yes, and mark things off.
Sure.
And then...
And choose your fabrics that'll all kind of say what you want them to say as opposed to threads.
And you can see that with a cross-stitch, any of you out there who cross-stitches knows you get a blocky image. And this was fine in many areas, and I wanted to leave it. I didn't want to sort of deny the fact that it came from piecing, sewing together rectangles. But then I softened the edges by taking yarns, twisting them, and using my darning foot on the sewing machine, just free motion, scribbled it over to flatten it down.
Yeah.
So that was the second layer. I made the strip set.
I like the rickrack
Then,
on there,
yes,
and
and
all
some
the beads,
silk
that
ribbon.
softens that. Oh, that's beautiful.
Hundreds and hundreds of beads on this piece. And
Yes. And you said you sort of got
mother
into
of
the
pearl.
spirit of the whole thing. And
yes, this was a very strong image, and it spoke to me of the First Nations peoples, and the wolf and the eagle feather represent strength. And then I started to think about some of the treatment of the First Nations people in the past, and just hope for resolution and a brighter future.
Yes. I love the bright eyes. Those just are wonderful. The way
It started out as vintage coat buttons. I love buttons, and this tiny glint in the eye is a small mother of pearl button from a child's garment. And
this is wire.
Cotton wrapped wire, which has just been zigzagged on to make the whiskers, and the nose are the dark mother of pearl vintage buttons.
And assortment. And so we've got beads and buttons down here.
Yes, and the beading that I chose, I again tried to keep it with the First Nations feeling. I used a lot of turquoise and bone and horn, as well as some delightful symbols in silver at the bottom.
Yeah. You have just done a magnificent, you found, I shouldn't say you did wonderful pottery too, but now you've done magnificent things, so keep up the good work.
I've grown, and this is, I think, where I want to stay.
Okay, and there's no end to this game.
No.
But there is an end to this show. Sadly, I must say goodbye for today, but watch us next time because we'll have all kinds, in fact, we'll have you back. Not next day, but someday, soon. So see us next time.
To receive the companion book for this series with all of the project details, send $19.98 to the address on your screen or call 1-888-McPhee or visit us on the web at www.mcpheeworkshop.com. Sponsored in part by Janome, quality sewing machines since 1921. And by Rowenta, the garment care experts, meeting the needs of the sewing enthusiast for over 100 years with high-performance irons, steamers, steam generators, and ironing boards. And Wonderfill Specialty Threads. Thread for the way you sew. And by the Woolen Mill Store, your source for quality fabrics and more, featuring the largest selection of wool and wool blend, yardage from Pendleton Woolen Mills. And by Horn of America, experience quality, innovative ideas, and customer service. And Creative Festival, bursting at the seams with hundreds of industry experts, conference classes, exhibits, and more. Experience creativity in the making.